Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. It is Fire Prevention Week, and all this week we're going to focus on breaking down different topics with your friend, my friend, Mark Malekish, Fitchburg Fire Department. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing well. Glad to be here, and thank you.
I am certainly glad you're here, and what a fun week to talk about the fire department, the different educating, learning a little bit more about the men and women of the Fitchburg Fire Department and fire departments across and the safety. We love the safety stuff, which, all this week you're going to have to tune in because we got props this week. We got a whole bunch of fun things planned. So just saying, you're going to have to really pay attention. But our day one, we're going to focus on what is Fire Prevention Week and how it kind of got started, because that is the kind of the kicks off of why this whole week is so important. So back up in time, Mark. It was a fine time. It was a rough time.
It was. So it's a question I get all the time. Why do we celebrate Fire Prevention Week or Fire Prevention Month? And the short answer is it's your fire department's chance to show you what we do, talk about what we do, talk about ways to get safe and all those things. But there is history behind it, and some significant history when you really get down to it. Right? So back in 1871, October 8th, as a matter of fact, the Great Chicago Fire happened. It just so happens that the Great Chicago Fire wasn't the only big fire that happened that day. The Peshtigo Fire, which most of us in Wisconsin are very familiar with, or somewhat familiar with, also occurred that day. And it became sort of a carrying call to let's talk about fires. Let's start dealing with this problem that was out there. So, yeah.
Two big fires happening at the same time. Devastation between both of those enormous. And it kind of really sets the stage of why fire safety becomes important.
It does. It does. It was a different world back in the 1870s. The houses, all of the buildings were built of wood. There was really no fire protection to speak of. So this fire very quickly grew into what we call a conflagration fire. Easy for me to say.
Oof, I don't think I could say that.
So what it means is a conflagration fire is a fire that just sort of takes off uncontrolled. So there's really nothing that is going to stop that fire from continuing to consume whatever fuel it can get its hands on. And in Chicago, with the buildings packed together as tightly as they were due to the higher population density, those buildings were very close together, and they were all made of wood. And once they started to catch fire, dry conditions atmospherically just sort of allowed that fire to grow uncontrolled and spread. In fact, it grew to the point where it ended up killing like 250 people. There were more than 100,000 who were left homeless, and there were more than 17,000 buildings that were actually destroyed as a result of the Chicago Fire, the Great Chicago Fire.
Which, you're like, okay, that's a lot of buildings and a lot of deaths, and then you add in the Peshtigo Fire,
Yep.
and that number is even more.
Yep.
So, death-wise. I mean, again, same idea, maybe different type of fire, quote unquote.
Yeah. So in the Peshtigo Fire, there were over 1,100 people that were killed, and that one moved very, very quickly. We do know with some certainty where the Peshtigo Fire started. It was a brush fire done by they were burning some brush off to put in a railroad, and that ended up being more of a wildfire that spread like we're seeing out west nowadays. But that's what that was, and it moved fast. That one consumed the town or city of Peshtigo within about an hour. And then it ended up consuming another 16 towns total before it was finally extinguished.
Yeah, there's quite a few maps out there that kind of show it, and not only did the Peshtigo area really get it, it even get extended into Door County, kind of in the northern part of Green Bay, or on the north, maybe a little bit to the east, but nevertheless, significant fires there. And if you kind of summarize it all there, it kind of leads you into there was proclamation put in place and fire prevention begins, but
Yes.
I think you've said this on the show many times, but sometimes it takes devastation or a tragedy to make a change.
Yeah.
Disaster strikes, and then all of a sudden, we can learn from those things.
Absolutely. I'm a code guy. My job is fire prevention, and that is based in the codes. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that every code that's ever written has a face or some sort of tragic event tied to it. Another question I get all the time is, well, who makes up the fire codes? Well, the fire codes are generally born out of some sort of tragedy. So, but you're right. Back in 1922, President Woodrow Wilson had the foresight to make a declaration about a fire prevention day. And that really was what morphed into, everybody said, well, that's a good idea. So then it becomes Fire Prevention Week, and then ultimately October is dedicated to Fire Prevention Month.
So it's kind of twofold. It's like the worst storyline that you could ever hear about for devastation-wise, but it sets the tone and the forefront of we have to talk about safety every year, but also we have to talk about what these departments are doing to protect you and the incredible work that is happening every single day at a firehouse or at a department.
Yeah, it's sort of the natural progression, right? This stuff happened. We can't change it. The history is the history. We should acknowledge it. We should learn from it. And really, that's exactly what Fire Prevention Week and Month is intended to do, is for the fire departments to get out in front of the people that they serve and say, hey, you know what? Here's the reason that we're out there doing fire inspections. Here's the reason why you should have a smoke alarm in your home. Here's the reason why you should have an evacuation location, right? When you get out, stay out. Stop, drop, and roll. All of those things. There's a reason why we teach those, and really that reason is based in history.
And it's the reason you keep coming back here each and every month to share another tip, another update, another way to help prevent tragedy from happening, right?
So, well, yes. And with that, I'll dive into how I got into the prevention side of the fire service real quickly. I got in, to be real honest with you, I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to ride backwards, I wanted to grab a hose, and I wanted to do the cool stuff. And there was an incident at the first department that I worked at where I was the incident command, and this gal had lost everything in an apartment fire. Her and her son literally got out of their apartment with the shirt and the shorts that they were wearing. And I had to go tell her that everything that she had was lost. Turns out, I learned later that she had escaped an abusive marriage, moved to a different state with her son to be protective, really didn't know anybody in town, and didn't have much for savings. So she literally lost everything. And it was at that moment where I said, firefighting's fun, it's cool, I like doing it, there's got to be a better way. Like, if we could stop these fires from happening, how much actual good would we be doing rather than being reactive to the fires that are occurring, right? And that changed the course of my career, literally, that day.
I always think, too, when we talk about fire prevention, and your story exactly, there are so many people who have close calls every single day with fire, something related. And, hopefully you kick back to whether it's back to, we were just talking with my kids, stop, drop, and roll. This is really going outside the box here, but, stop, drop, and roll. Like some of those basic things you think about, and the kids are like, why would you want to do that? And I'm like, you'll learn someday. Yep. You'll learn. But all those moments, all those things. Anyways, an incredible story, and all this week, again, we are focused on talking about Fire Prevention Week, and, again, the importance of having you kind folks around.
We appreciate it.
Keeping us safe.
We appreciate it, and we are happy to talk fire prevention all day long, all day strong.
Well, we know this guy is, that's for sure. All right, Mark, appreciate the time. We'll continue this series all week long.
Awesome.